بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سمو الشيوخ، أصحاب المعالي والسعادة، الضيوف الكرام، السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. اسمحوا لي بداية التعريف بنفسي. محدثكم ياسر النقبي، متخصص في مجال التطوير المؤسسي، وأعمل كمساعد مدير عام في مكتب رئاسة مجلس الوزراء. التميز سلوك وثقافة عمل تسعى لتحقيقه حكومات العالم، وتعمل على ابتكار وتقديم كل ما من شأنه الارتقاء بتجربة المتعاملين الخدمية، وتذليل كافة التحديات لتوفير خدمات متميزة عالية الجودة لتحقيق أعلى نسب السعادة للمتعاملين ورضاهم عن الخدمات المقدمة. ونحن في دولة الإمارات لنا مبادرات رائدة وسباقة في إسعاد المتعاملين، ونطمح من خلالها إلى تحقيق سعادة المجتمع والوصول على أعلى مراتب التميز والريادة العالمية. إنه لشرف لي أن أتواجد معكم اليوم لإدارة هذا الحوار الشيق بعنوان كيف نبني ثقافة الخدمة المتميزة، الذي نستضيف فيه الخبير العالمي رون كوفمان، أحد الخبراء الرواد في العالم في مجال التعليم والتحفيز على الارتقاء بخدمة المتعاملين وبناء الثقافات الخدمية، وهو واحد من أفضل 25 متحدثاً على مستوى العالم. كوفمان هو أيضاً مؤلف لكتاب الارتقاء بالخدمة، السبيل الأكيد لإسعاد عملائك وكل من تقابله، وصنف على قائمة أكثر الكتب مبيعاً في العالم. والآن اسمحوا لي أن أكمل حديثي باللغة الإنجليزية. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored to introduce our guest speaker today, Mr. Ron Kaufman, who is passionate about building culture of service excellence. Mr. Kaufman is a leading educator and motivator for uplifting customer service and building service culture. He has created methods to help clients upgrade service performance and building strong service culture. He was rated one of the top 25 speakers by Speaker Magazine, and he is author of the New York Times and US Today bestseller book, Uplifting Service, The Proven Path to Delighting Your Customers, Colleagues, and everyone else you meet. He has also 14 other books on service, business, and inspirations. Please join me to give a warm welcome to Mr. Ron Kaufman, who will be talking to us about how to build a culture of service excellence. Mr. Ron.
Thank you very much. Your Highnesses, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, Salam Alaikum. It's a great pleasure to be with you today. We'll be speaking on the topic of how to build a culture of service excellence. I believe, and from my years of experience, that service culture is actually a sustainable advantage. Sustainable for cities, governments, companies, countries, and in fact for the world. Now, there are three questions that I'm going to look to answer today. One is, what actually is service? The second, what is service excellence? And the third, how does one actually build a strong culture of service excellence? Now, fortunately, there's a plan. And the plan is what I've written about in the New York Times bestselling book, Uplifting Service. And essentially, it presents an architecture. Now, if we look back in history and we see an architecture like this, we have to ask ourselves at some moment, why did they build this? What was the purpose of having such a noble architecture as this? It was to inspire people. So when they walked inside, they felt uplifted. They felt that there was a possibility of being more and doing more and becoming more socially than they were before. So I've adopted a similar architecture to be able to talk about how do we build a culture of service excellence that inspires people, encourages people, enables people to serve one another at an excellent level. Now, this architecture has three components: a foundation, which we call continuous service improvement; a roof, leadership; that provides protection for what's occurring inside the house, and then in the middle, something called building blocks. I'll show you more about this as we go through the presentation. The three questions, what is service? What is service excellence? What is service culture? Begin with this question: what really is service? Many people have different opinions about this. They'll say it's making someone happy, or giving somebody what they want, or what they need, or treating somebody the way you would like to be treated. Or they'll say something very shallow, like the customer is always right, which we know is not true. We need a better definition to answer this question, and the definition works like this. Service is taking action. Someone must do something for us to call it service. Now, the purpose of the action is to create value. To create value not for yourself, but for someone else. So here is an effective working definition of service: taking action to create value for someone else. If you think about it, that's what every government agency is doing. That's what every company is doing. That's what every department is doing. That's what every professional is doing. Service. Now, what is service excellence? To answer this question, we have to really attack the question, how good or bad is the service you provide? Because excellence is a very high standard. Now, answering this question is not your opinion. To answer this question, it's someone else's opinion about the experience that you provided for them. And to narrate that, I invented something called the 6 levels of service. This is not your standard of service. This is not your process for delivering service. This narrates someone else's experience or their perception of the service you provide. If you are terrible, if you don't keep your promise, if you violate legitimate minimum expectations, this is unacceptable. I put it at the bottom, and in fact, I call it criminal, like breaking the law. If you go one step up, there's a word here called basic. Now, this would be service that is late, incomplete, impolite. The experience for the person being served is not an enjoyable one, but eventually they get what they need. Now, if we take another step up, we can say we've reached the expected level. Here's what you do, what you promised. You meet specifications. You fulfill agreements. But if we go a step higher to desired, now you're serving somebody the way they like it, the way they hope for, the way they prefer. And if we take even another step where we do something unexpected, and it creates value that the customer or the citizen or the colleague never thought they were going to get, we could call that level surprising. And all the way at the top, let's add one more, which is the astonishing level of unbelievable service. 6 levels of service. Now, where is excellence on the 6 levels of service? Excellence is not one of the 6 words. And some people would say, well, it's unbelievable, or surprising, or desired, or anything above expected. Part of the challenge in answering the question, where is excellence, is that these stairs are not stairs. They're not fixed. They're not steps. This is actually an escalator. It's always in motion, and it's always going down. Because if you do something for someone that's unbelievable, it will only be unbelievable the first time you do it. The next time, it's a nice surprise. You did it again. After that, it becomes what someone desires, and then it becomes expected. An example. When this first came out, it was astonishing. It was unbelievable. Today, basic. Perhaps you remember this. Paul Simon wrote a song, Kodachrome. Huh? Today, it looks like this. No song. Maybe you remember this. And you may say, what do you mean, remember? Well, this is someone delivering. It won't be like that in the future. The drone will bring it right to your front yard or your backyard, based on whichever you prefer. Maybe you remember cash. And then that disappeared and became credit card. And then just tap your phone. And now just place your finger on the glass. In fact, don't even bother with that. Have a look over here. We just took your money. Thank you. So if the stairs are always slipping down, where is excellence on the 6 levels of service? Excellence has become a moving target. Expectations keep rising. The only way to be excellent is to take another step up. Ah, that's interesting. Then excellence is the taking of the step up. It's not any particular standard. Now we have two definitions. Excellence, taking the next step up. Service, taking action to create value for someone else. What is service excellence? Let's put the two together. Service excellence is taking the next step up to create more value for someone else. In the 15 books that I've written, this is the single most important sentence. Because right here, it gives you an understanding of what is it we should actually be aiming to do as a government department, as a company, as a country, as a city. A service excellence culture is when everyone understands that and actually comes to work to put that to work every day. Now, these 6 levels of service apply to citizens and to customers. They also apply to our colleagues and to other service partners. For example, let's use a government example of the police. If the police see themselves as the enforcer, if they interact with citizens as the enforcer of the regulations, oh, that's a certain level of service. If they see themselves as someone who's serving the community, if they make the effort to also connect in the neighborhood, to actually develop a relationship with people living in different areas, it's actually going to not only be better service, it will be much easier for the police to do their job. So 6 levels of service. And the action steps that take us to the next level, which of course are intended to create value. But there's a problem. Different people value different things. How do we solve this? Let me give an example. Let's have a pizza. Is this a good pizza? Not if you're a vegetarian. Okay, is this a good pizza? Not if you like the meat. Right? Now, what if you want the world's finest pizza? Best pizza in the world. Thin crust, mozzarella, spicy olive, delicious tomato sauce. You really want the world's finest pizza. Where do you go? Italy. Americans will say New York. But the rest of us know it's Italy. Did any of you, when I said best pizza in the world, think of this? No. Now wait, if they don't sell the best pizza in the world, how come they sell so much pizza? Because they're delivering another kind of value. If you want the very best pizza value, you'll go to Italy. In fact, you'll go to Napoli. In fact, in Napoli, you'll go to the restaurant called Sorbillo's. But if you have children at home and you need pizza now, you pick up the phone. And very quickly, you have pizza. So we have 2 categories of value. One is the quality of the pizza or the product, and then the other is the delivery, the ease, the speed, the convenience. And here's a 3rd category. Bong, bong. If this gentleman comes to your door and he says, here's your pizza, pay me the money, you'll give him exactly the right amount of money. But if he says, hello, dinner is here, I brought you a beautiful pizza, I hope you enjoy it, you will give him the money plus a tip. Now, the tip was not because you gave him a better pizza. And it wasn't because you gave him a faster delivery. You're going to give him the tip because he gave you value in yet another category: attitude, friendliness, helpfulness, mindset. Here's a 4th category of value. When you ring, they already can identify your inbound phone number. They see you through their database. They know who you are. They know where you live. They know what your credit card number is. And they even remember what you ordered last time. So you call them because you have a relationship. So here we have 4 different categories of value. One of these categories we can call the primary product, the pizza. Now, in the case of a city like Abu Dhabi, it's not the pizza. It would be the regulations. It would be the market environment that you create. It would be your commitment to other forms of industrial development here, education, medical tourism, masdar. The second category is delivery systems. And at a city level, this would be the airport and the roads and the port and other forms of, and in the future, you may have autonomous vehicles and other forms of delivery system. And then we have a category called service mindset, friendliness, helpfulness, polite, concerned. And finally, ongoing relationship, where you want people connected to the city and the government, not just for a transaction, but for the sake of what we're doing now and building a stronger future together. Now, which of these 4 categories do people care about in today's world? All 4. In fact, when we say customer experience and we want to improve the customer experience, we realize that we can create value in all 4 of these categories. How much value? Why don't we take the 6 levels of service and put it right next to the 4 categories of value, and we could do a very interesting analysis from the customer's point of view, from the citizen's point of view, from the colleague's point of view. Where would they say we are today in each of the 4 categories? Oh, remember, the stairs are always slipping down. So now where do you have the opportunity to step up? That leads us to the next question. Oh, but before I go there, let me answer the question, why do Americans say New York is the place for pizza? I was in New York recently, and I saw the Pizza Cafe. I looked in the window. Oh boy, pizza. In fact, whatever kind of pizza you want, you can find right there. If they don't have the pizza you want, you can order it. They'll make the whole pizza for you to have 1 slice. Don't worry, somebody else will come along and eat the other half of the pizza. Now, you don't go to New York for service mindset. And the delivery system is you walk up and they give you the pizza. So what are they known for? The product. So many different pizzas. Now, Amazon has got a lot of product, but that's not what makes them famous. It's not that they have the product. It's that they can deliver the product directly to you and do it quickly. In fact, you can order with 1 click on their website, and that costs a lot of us a lot of money. And they will guarantee delivery, even in a market like India, within a day. And so they will put it at your doorstep. And they invest in all of the warehouses that they need, and all of the trucks that they need, and all of the airplanes that they need, and now the drone technology that they want, so that they can deliver to you at a higher level than you expect each day after day after day, creating more value. Now, Singapore Airlines has a challenge, as does Etihad. They don't make the product. Boeing and Airbus make the product. They don't make the delivery system. Airports, travel agents, check-in counters, all shared between the different airlines. So how does this airline stand out? They focus on the service mindset category. And every single advertisement you ever see for Singapore Airlines, whether it's first class, business class, economy class, even on their website, there will only be 1 photograph. It's always going to be a member of the cabin crew. Because the way they're going to differentiate is based on your experience with the service mindset. Now, Citibank takes another approach. They say, from the day you are born, we already are going to see your potential. We want you as a customer. When you're 20, you don't have any money yet, but we're still going to be there for you. After all, we've been around 200 years. And then as you go through your life, 35, you start to develop some achievement, you're 46. You're now starting to think about retirement, you're 58. Now you're thinking about your legacy and next generation, you're up at 72. And what is Citibank saying all the way through? You have a financial life cycle, we'll be there with you through the whole life cycle, ongoing relationship. 4 different categories. And of course, back to the question, where are we now in each category? Where can each government department, city, company, industry step up to the next level of creating more value? Now that step has to be very specific. It could be at the website. It could be in a phone call. It could be in the office. It could be when you deliver something to someone's house. But it's going to have to be defined at a particular point. So this model talks about service and the transactional delivery, and along the way, what we call the perception points. Each one of those points can again be evaluated on the 6 levels of service. And you can map it out. You could literally look at any interaction, licensing a new company, somebody who registers a car, somebody who wants to come and make a report somewhere at a government agency or have a question answered. All of these can be mapped out. I'll give you an example. Changi International Airport, which is my home airport. I've been living in Singapore now since 1990, 28 years. They're rated as one of the top airports in the entire world. And they've achieved that because they look at each and every perception point and do whatever's necessary to make sure that your experience there is at least expected, preferably desired, ideally surprising. And they had a problem at this point, immigration, because the immigration officers thought of themselves as a regulatory enforcement position, which they are. But they're also the front door to the nation. They're also the last impression before you leave the country from the government. And so the government leaned in here and said, we need to change the experience. And so on every immigration counter, they put a little box of candy, and they explained to the immigration officer that they needed to say 2 words. First word, passport. Second word, sweet. And the moment they said sweet, 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 which, by the way, they now do 56 million times a year, the friendly scores started to go up for the immigration officers. Other airports around the world have tried to copy this. They've actually put candy at their immigration counters, but they don't explain to the immigration officer why the candy is there. So he never says, sweet. He thinks the airport wants to give away candy. And the immigration score doesn't go up, because the immigration officer is also part of delivering the experience, creating the perception at that point. And so Changi Airport is constantly working on improving the customer experience by design. Service excellence, taking the next step up to create more value for someone else. The 6 levels of service that help you answer the question, how good or bad is the service from someone else's point of view? 4 categories of value, different ways that you can step up to improve and differentiate a city, a company, an organization. And service transactions and the mapping out of each perception point. Now, all of those things are part of the foundation of this house. What people need to learn that they do not learn in school about how to be in service to someone else. So, for example, yesterday I had the privilege of visiting Zayed University and speaking to some of the students there. And they saw this and said, we never learned this in our classes. I said, well, you're lucky. You're learning it now before you go to work. But everyone needs to learn this so that we can put our attention on the someone else that we're seeking to create value for. And, of course, the leadership needs to understand this and support it. And then there's the interesting area in the middle called building blocks. Now, that's a lot on the slide, I know. But any large organization is already doing something in each of these areas. And it's important to study what we're doing and how could we step it up and do it even better. And how are these things connected to each other? For today, I just want to spend a moment on one, which is having an engaging service vision. Something that's inspiring for people, that will make the members of the team or the members of your government agency or the people in your country say, let's make that happen. For example, when Singapore Airlines began, it was very poor and very small, little tiny country. And so they created this service even other airlines talk about. And it made the people feel so proud. Let's go do that. Let's show the world what we're capable of. That's an engaging service vision. Here's a company from the United States. Our world is serving yours. Can you imagine what industry they're in? They make cheese. They're the largest manufacturers of cheese in the world for McDonald's. But they don't say, we make cheese. They say, our world is serving your world. What an inspiring vision to come to work and make happen. This is a company from Finland and Germany. Used to be a joint venture between Nokia and Siemens, providing telecommunications hardware and software. And boy, do they have know-how. But know-how is not enough. With the know-how, you should act now. But why are you acting? It's to create an experience for someone else. Know-how, act now, create wow. Inspiring. One more. Stepping up together. This is a national airline in Mauritius, and they were having a lot of problems. They were fighting with each other, cabin crew, pilots, ground staff. And so we went in and said, let's use this vision, stepping up together. In 24 months, look what we accomplished with them. From each compliment balanced by a complaint, to each complaint being balanced by 10 compliments. Now that doesn't come from customer service training of cabin crew. It's from everyone building a culture together of stepping up service to each other and ultimately to the customer. This is the vision that we use when we work with students. Because students have never had a customer. Their parents have told them that they're the most wonderful person who ever walked on the earth. And yet when they come out of school, they're going to get a job. And when they have a job, they're going to need to learn to take care of someone else. So we call it stepping up from self to service. And finally, our company, Up Your Service. We work with organizations all over the world together so that we can serve together to serve the world. You're right about my passion. I am passionate about uplifting the spirit and the quality and the practice of service all over the world. And for the great privilege of being able to be here with you at the Crown Prince Court, thank you for being able to come and share the passion with you today. Thank you.
What can I say? Wow. I mean, a lot of mindful things, a lot of relations, a lot of experience, and it's just blow your mind. So thank you very much. Now we will start the Q&A session. Until we receive questions from the audience, I will start by questions of my own.
Please.
Talking about technology, you mentioned technology is changing our life. So where are we going with this? What's the impact?
And how is technology and human beings going to merge together in the space called service?
Exactly. Where they match? Because I've seen from your slides that there is a lot of interaction between things. So technology, where is it?
Yeah. Technology will be used and should be used for any kind of a repeatable process. Yeah? If something needs to be done, it needs to be done correctly, it should be accurate, it should be fast, it should be stored in the database. Let technology handle that. Yeah? But that means that the moments of human contact become so much more important. Because why would I need to talk to a human unless something didn't quite work out, or I don't understand something, or I have a question, or I have a problem? That's when we want a human being to be able to come in and really pay attention to creating a better experience in that moment. So that's number one, is that humans will not be replaced. They'll just become more important. Number two, humans design the interface with the technology. So it's incredibly important to actually think about the experience the other person is having. I'll give you an example. My home country of Singapore had an idea at one point that at every government website, you should be able to get to wherever you want in just 3 clicks. Because they thought that would be a good standard. It was terrible. In order for that to be the case, each web page had 38 options. And so you could never get there in 3 clicks unless you knew exactly where to click. Actually, it turned out you don't mind clicking more often as long as you're not confused about where you're clicking and why you're clicking, right? So the designers need to be thinking about the experience they're creating, not just from a technology standpoint.
Interesting, interesting. When you showed us the picture of Singaporean airline, you mentioned that they always show their people.
Yes.
That they're always the center of service. Now, can you elaborate on that? I mean, what's the impact on the human development when it comes to the service delivery?
You know, human development, it's a huge issue now. In fact, in the Abu Dhabi Economic Vision for 2030, point number 6 is developing highly skilled and highly productive workforce. What does that mean for the future? What does it actually mean to be highly productive? It's not treating people like they're machines and can they just do more faster. It's can they actually create a better experience for someone else? Abu Dhabi, like every other city in the world, is competing. It's competing to have other people want to come here and businesses come here and people come here. And so we have to be dedicated to producing that better experience that customers will talk about. So then a highly effective workforce would be a workforce that actually understands what service is. taking action to create value for someone else, and learns to put the focus on the experience of someone else. All right? This is what Singapore Airlines understands.
So we will continue to talk about Singapore. He's 26, he's living in Singapore. Why Singapore?
Singapore 30 years ago had an economic problem, which is not the same as the one that Abu Dhabi wrestles with, but it was similar in a certain way. All of the low-cost manufacturing was leaving Singapore and going to China. Motorola, Philips, Sony, Seagate, right? They could just go somewhere else, costs would be lower. And the back office, the data processing, the call centers were all leaving Singapore and they were going to India because it's English-speaking and lower cost. So the country literally was going to have its economic core hollowed out. The government is very pragmatic, like the Abu Dhabi government, and looked ahead and said, we need to reinvent ourselves to become valuable in the world. Look at Singapore today. Financial service, legal service, medical service, convention service, hospitality service, educational service. All that was repositioned. But the Ministry of Education of Singapore 30 years ago wasn't teaching people how to serve customers. It was teaching them how to know the right answer and don't make a mistake. Get a high score on the test. Perfect for factories, not good for customers. And so I was invited to come and work with the government and with the airline to take those ideas about customer experience and teach it to the entire nation. And it's been a long project, but we're succeeding.
You mentioned something about excellence. You said that it's a moving target. And customer expectation is moving higher and higher by the day. I mean, the world is getting smaller. Everybody knows everything at the same time. You know, it's even faster than the country you are origin from through the social media. Exactly. So what can you do to actually go faster than the expectation? How can you even catch up with that? How can you pass it?
Yeah, it's a very good question. One approach is catch up. The other approach is actually get out in front. Go out forward. So you're not just listening to what customers are asking for and then trying to catch up to their expectations, but you're actually thinking about what do people care about? What are other human beings concerned about? How do we make offers to them through our organizations that will deliver value that they themselves are not yet seeing? That kind of creative invention of the future.
So you're saying we always have to ask them? Surveys?
Oh, we can do
studies.
That. But we ourselves need to also be imaginative about what kind of a society do we want to create. For example, if you ask people, what do you want in the city? I'm not sure many are going to say, I want it to be more sustainable. Right? And yet we know that for all of our well-being and our family's happiness, we want to create more sustainable green cities.
Oh.
So then government plays a very important role of looking forward to the future with an eye towards what will people value? What do people really value as human beings, as families, as communities, as society, and make that come forward?
The United Arab Emirates, multinational country that hosts, and we live in harmonies with a lot of people. With all this diversity, 200 citizens, 200 nationalities living in the UAE, how can you deliver services? The diversity of services. Yeah. How can you actually make sure that you deliver the right values to them and their expected values?
Excellent question. We were speaking earlier also about the value of speaking another language and how it gives you a window into someone else's world. Yeah? That window into someone else's world is really the answer to your question. If we have 200 nationalities and we're going to be in service to them, they come to our city, we want them to have a good experience, then we should be curious also about them. Now, granted, they'll come here because they're looking to work and make money and serve in the society, but also in our interactions with one another, it's the extent to which we can become curious about and appreciate their history, their background, their values, their traditions. Because when I understand someone else, then I can figure out what's the action I can take that would have them feel appreciated and valued.
Imagination. It says, is imagination linked to excellence?
Yes. Yes, we
How?
have. Well, especially at the higher levels. When you're talking about, let's look at the level called surprising. Remember, surprising is when you take action that produces value that was unexpected, which means that you must have understood what the other party values, but then you got creative. You and your colleagues started talking about that other person. What do they like? What do they want? What do they appreciate? What are they worried about? And then you imaginatively come up with some new action that they say, ooh, nice surprise, but they didn't ask you for it. If you survey them and they ask you for it, and then you deliver it, that's desired because they already asked for it. So in order to reach those higher levels, imagination becomes incredibly important.
Wow. Abu Dhabi, how can we be the best in customer service and service delivery?
In the world?
Okay. From your experience and what you have seen and what you have witnessed so far.
Yeah.
Because you've been through some experience.
Yeah. You're doing a lot of things right. All right? So I'm not going to comment on those. I do hear from some people that they'll go to an office and they need something done, and the warmth, or shall we say the lack of, or the concern to make sure you have a good experience, or perhaps the lack of. That's the area that needs to be adjusted, where everyone needs to understand that service is taking action to create value for someone else. And so therefore, it's the someone else that the attention needs to be on. Now, wait. I know some people are going to say, but if the customer is king, does that make me a slave? No one wants to be a slave. But I don't look at it that way at all. If service is taking action to create value for someone else, then the person who takes the action is the creator of value. And being a value creator, that is a very dignified position. That is a position that is worth each person seeing themselves as being able to do in the world for other people, for the community, for the city of Abu Dhabi.
Thank you. The last question from the floor was future of services. You mentioned the technology and how it's going to impact, but where it's going to go with the next few years, how it's going to be shaped.
Yeah. I think, again, Abu Dhabi is very much doing the right thing in not having the customer service center, but rather the happiness center. Not having the customer service officer, but rather the happiness officer. That where it's going to go is the experience that someone is having. And that includes the emotional experience and the mental experience and the tactical, practical experience. In the past, it was just about, did I get the thing that I bought? But now the experience of not just getting it, but learning how it works and having questions answered and enjoying it. And even if I need to get it repaired or it's time to upgrade it, right? The experience of that is where the future of service really is.
I would like to extend our appreciation to Mr. Kaufman for the inspiring journey that he took us through in how to build a culture of service excellence. منذ نشأة الاتحاد والتميز نهج حكومة دولة الإمارات وثقافة إسعاد الناس ثابت أرساه الوالد المؤسس المغفور له بإذن الله الشيخ زايد بن سلطان آل نهيان رحمه الله، وهو الذي قال أن أهم إنجازات الاتحاد في نظري هو إسعاد المجتمع، ونحن ولله الحمد في دولة تسمى فيها مراكز الخدمة مراكز سعادة المتعاملين، ويسمى فيها موظفو خدمة المتعاملين أبطال السعادة، وهي مسميات مقترنة بأفعال ونتائج على أرض الواقع. فوظيفة الحكومة ومن فيها هي تحقيق السعادة. شكرا لكم سيدي، شكرا للحضور الكريم. Thank you very much. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.